is the nation's first and largest national park. It receives almost 3 million visitors a year. At 3,000 square miles, it is larger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. What most people don't know is that Yellowstone is also the home of a supervolcano. A volcano that can eject more than 1 trillion tons of material and can cover an entire continent with ash. Supervolcano magma bubbles close to the surface, but a large mass of rock prevents it from breaking free. This happens over hundreds of thousands of years until finally it blasts its way out. Scientists have estimated that the Yellowstone supervolcano explodes once every 600,000 years. We are overdue. It last exploded more than 630,000 years ago. This supervolcano's hot spot extends miles below the surface, nearly halfway to the center of the Earth. The hot spot is the fuel that heats the park's famed geysers, hot springs, and the supervolcano. Scientists search for answers. They research ways to relieve the supervolcano's pressure without triggering a catastrophic eruption. It's a race against time that may soon expire.
Yellowstone in northwest Wyoming, land of geysers, mountains, and lakes, is also sitting atop a supervolcano. And it just took what scientists describe as a deep breath, causing miles of ground to rise dramatically. So what does this mean? Well, joining us right now is Michio Kaku. He is a physics professor at the City University of New York and the author of the upcoming book, Physics of the Future. Thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be on.
So the last time this happened was 640,000 years ago. We're due?
We are due. Forget Yogi Bear. Okay, forget Old Faithful. It's sitting on top of a sleeping giant. Now, if you're sleeping next to an 800-pound gorilla, you monitor every burp, every snore of this gigantic gorilla, because when it blows, it could destroy the United States as we know it.
This is a pretty scary prospect. I want to just show people what we're talking about here when we talk about this supervolcano, and we have a little thing to show you, a map with some of the details. So that's where it is. It's beneath Yellowstone. It's been there, as we know. I guess this has erupted 3 times in 2.1 million years. But what they're worried about is the fact that they say that the ground has started to swell in levels that they have not seen before, 10 inches in some places in the past year. What does that tell us?
It tells us that there is activity in this supervolcano, which erupts roughly every 600 million years. And the last eruption was 640 million years ago.
Oh, 640 million or 1,000?
1,000 years ago, I'm sorry, you're right.
Because then we had some more time.
Then we have some more time, right. But that's what's making us very nervous, because the cycle time corresponds to the present-day era. So every single burp, murmur of this gigantic potential supervolcano, including the rise of the sea level, has to be watched very carefully.
All right, so when we talk about this, and we have pictures of Mount St. Helen erupting back in 1980. Let's just show this right now. You say that an explosion with this supervolcano under Yellowstone, and there we're seeing the Mount St. Helens, would be 1,000 times bigger than this. What type of damage are we talking about here?
We're talking about immediate damage out to 100 miles from the site. That is total devastation, basically wiping out everything in sight. However, the real damage goes out to 500 miles if you include volcanic ash, poisonous gases, death of wildlife and vegetation, and that's a ring about 1,000 miles across. That's the heartline of America.
It would pretty much wipe out Earth as we know it?
It would wipe out the United States as we know it. And again, we don't want to panic anybody. It could happen tomorrow, or it could happen 100,000 years from now. It's black magic trying to predict exactly when it's going to blow, but we do know one thing. One day, it will blow.
So, and you say that something on this scale is what wiped out the dinosaurs?
65 million years ago, another supervolcano coincided with this meteor that hit Mexico, and we think it was a double whammy that knocked out the dinosaurs. So it's something that we take very seriously, but again, the cycle time is measured on the scale of hundreds of thousands of years.
Would there be anything we could do to prepare or to get people out? I mean, how much of a warning might we get with this eruption?
All you can do is run. You don't get much warning. What happened is the ground starts to rise, more and more earthquakes take place, more ash and volcanic gases start to be unleashed. That's about the only warning we get, because we do not have a good way to predict volcanic eruptions.
Are we getting a better way to do it, or are we just at the mercy of Mother Nature?
We're still clueless. We're still monitoring it very carefully, looking for the warning signs. That's why this sudden rise in the Earth even though it's not immediately dangerous, is being looked at very carefully because we have no experience with supervolcanoes. We've seen Mount St. Helens, we've seen Krakatoa, but a supervolcano erupting in our lifetime, we have no understanding of the scope of that thing. We just see the evidence of previous eruptions.
It's amazing. So you say it could be tomorrow, it could be in 100,000 years, but it's under there.
It's there, and it will happen. At one point, it will destroy North America as we know it.
Yellowstone National Park is one of the most studied plots of ground in the world, and it's not just for its amazing beauty, but for the beast below.
The beast below, yeah. The park sits atop one of the world's biggest active volcanoes, one capable of laying waste to much of North America, frankly. ABC4's Ben Hunsaker has been talking with scientists who are keeping an eye on the Yellowstone Supervolcano.
Using a network of GPS and seismic sensors, scientists keep the pulse of Yellowstone. And what they see is a volcanic beast that is still very much alive.
We monitor it in real time. That's what you're seeing right there is a seismic station from Yellowstone. There's the Yellowstone magma chamber.
Geophysicist Robert Smith has made a career out of studying Yellowstone. He monitors a park in constant motion. Now, visitors can't see it, but the ground here is moving up and down as magma pushes against the thin crust and powers the many geysers.
Why are all the hydrothermal features here, the geysers, the mud pots, the steam vents, the hot springs? It's because of the heat beneath our feet.
Henry Hessler is the park geologist. He says the movement creates constant changes in the Norris Geyser Basin.
Daily. Sometimes it's hard to keep up.
And beginning in 2004, volcanic pressure caused an amazing rise, 3 inches a year for 5 years.
That's a lot of uplift, and it's over an area. I'll show you a picture. It's over an area of the entire Yellowstone caldera. It's 50 miles long of uplift.
If you went under a rubber sheet and pushed up with your thumb, it's not just sticking up where your thumb is. There's like a slope to it.
As the surface has bulged, Yellowstone Lake is actually tilted to the point that some trees to the south of here flooded.
Now the ground is sinking.
But then why hasn't the trees emerged again? We don't know.
For that matter, no one can say how the volcanic pressure is now being released. Geologists are watching for clues from a supervolcano that's millions of years old and still going strong. So, just how big is it? What would a super eruption look like? And how would we know if it's ready to blow?
We'll have the latest science as well as a few